Welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my girlfriend Carol. How you doing today, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. It's been a good week here. It is October 19th, 1996.
It is. It is that.
And there's a dude out there that's quirky about quarks, Carol.
What in the actual fuck?
Who's quirky about quarks, you ask? Bill Nye, the science guy.
Looks like Tim Allen.
Beloved by kids and adults. Yeah, he does. He looks a little like Tim Allen. Probably funnier than Tim Allen.
He also looks like he's high like Tim Allen, so
Oh, God.
works out.
Tim Allen was busted on cocaine charges. Don't look into it. He's
Detroit's own.
He's the quintessential science geek. A borderline space case with a long lab coat and a slightly cockeyed bow tie, who sprinkles every conversation with mini lessons about the wonders of science. And with an estimated 4.5 million fans watching him every week, Bill Nye the Science Guy is also one of the most potent and influential sponsors of children's televisions.
What was that word?
I'm trying to...
Potent?
I'm trying to give you more fuel.
Sure, that's all it is.
I'm throwing you some bones here. But yeah, have you've heard of Bill Nye, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Of course I've heard of Bill
Everyone
Nye.
in the world's heard of him, apparently.
Well, like my little niece and nephew watch him.
Of course I've heard of Bill Nye. What do you think of Bill Nye? Bill Nye.
I think he's a science guy.
Yeah, do you like have you seen his show?
No.
No? Okay.
Yes, I have, but I don't want to talk about it. Because you're going to make fun of me.
Why am I going to make
Because
fun
I
of
like
you?
it.
He's no Mr. Wizard. Go ahead. What's this show like? I think I've seen it before. It's all the fast cutting, like, whoa, looks over there.
Yeah, and it's
right?
like, when I can't sleep and it's on like really early in the morning, it's good.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
After a nice night of drinking.
Right.
Relax with some Bill Nye.
He made me understand how soap works, and for that I'll always be grateful.
Fuck.
Well, did you know that, like,
Did it,
without...
when and how did he do this? Was he in your shower? And were you not using soap properly until you...
No, it's not like I didn't know how to use soap. I just didn't understand how soap worked.
Oh, the mechanism.
Like,
How
normally, like, water just kind of rolls off.
Sure.
But the soap, like, gets it under that top layer so it actually gets your skin.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever... There's a experiment where you can put... I think it's maybe pepper or something like that. You put a bunch of stuff in a bowl, and then you drop a thing of soap in there, and it all... Like, it goes to the sides.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's all cool.
It is all cool.
So many cool things that Bill Nye does. But you know what's not cool? Is apparently students using spell check.
What?
So Ann Landers is... I don't want to read these.
I don't like her.
Yeah, it's an Ann Landers article. But I don't want to, like... I don't want to read these, so I'm not really going to read these. But I'll just go through real quick.
Okay.
Somebody wrote in about she doesn't, like, a teacher doesn't know exactly how to grade if somebody does it on the computer, spell check, all that stuff, and everyone's like, don't use spell check. Spell check's for Nazis.
What?
That's essentially what they're saying. Like, spell check's the worst, and learn English and stuff like that.
But, I mean, like, what's the difference between spell check and, like, fucking editing your paper with a dictionary?
Because spell check might confuse 2, and 2.
Okay.
And you should know the difference, I guess. I don't know.
I do.
Yeah, well, I know. I think it's dumb, too. They're dinosaurs. All these people writing in here are dinosaurs.
Okay.
But anyway, secret to marital bliss, Carol. Dear Ann Landers,
Ugh.
my wife and I are writing in response to too well rested and would love to be exhausted.
What?
That's the name. That's what the person signed it as. Too well rested and would love to be exhausted.
What a complainer.
She said you only, because they're not having sex. She said you print only letters from people who get too much sex or not enough. She asked, aren't there any married couples who enjoy sex with each other and aren't out looking for someone more exciting? We can answer her question, because we are one of those couples. The secret is that first, you have to be in love with the person you marry. Then you must keep the lines of communication open. Too many couples don't really talk to each other, do things together, even if it's just the dishes. Husbands, take your wives away for a weekend. Do the dishes or take your wives away. My wife and I have been married for nearly 18 years, and we have made love almost every night.
Holy crap.
Even when I didn't think I felt like it. You mean when you were rashing from the everyday?
Right?
You would be surprised what a little tender touching and kissing can do to get you in the mood. This is our secret formula for a successful marriage. Spread the word, Anne.
Oh my goodness.
They're in Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, that explains it.
They're as sweaty as Dylan and his lady love
right.
in the last episode. Listen to the 90210 show to get that reference.
Every night.
What do you think about that? So,
I think every night is too much.
married couple, 18 years. So for the last 18 years, every single night they've had sex. That's what? That's like over 3,000. That's over like 4,000 times.
I mean, wouldn't you just eventually get tired?
That's almost. That's got to be like. It's got to be like in the neighborhood of like 6,000, 5 to 6,000 times.
Wow.
So much, so many times to have sex. I mean, sex is good, but it's kind of like eating ice cream every day, right?
Right?
It gets old, doesn't it?
Am
I crazy?
Well, I mean, I don't think it gets old. I'm just like, I would imagine
Every day?
that there are times when, you might not feel like it, and then it would seem like some kind of catastrophe if you're used to it every day.
They have to own stock in Gatorade. Their electrolytes really need to be replenished every
Or
day.
wine.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I don't. Every night is a lot. But what
Yeah.
do you think? What do you think about their tips? Be in love, keep the lines of communication open, do the dishes together, take your wife away for the weekend.
I think the take your wife away for the weekend is a bit sexist. Like, why can't your wife take you away, or why can't you just go away together? Why does the man have to be providing the trip to the woman?
Why can't Calgon take you away?
Right.
What would you give? We don't have sex every day,
Right.
but I say we have a good sex life.
Yes, for sure.
What would you say our secret is?
I think that's a little personal to put out on a tape, don't you?
You don't. I didn't ask what moves you were doing. I mean, you don't. I was just. You don't think that our secret is? We have a secret that's really personal. I don't get it.
Well, what do you think our secret is? Since you obviously want to, throw it out there for the world.
I mean, I think that we love each other. Mm-hmm. That's basically a given. You have to actually care about the person you're with. If you're married, to actually have sex on a regular basis. But I think that we tell each other how much we love each other and how attractive we think each other is on a fairly regular basis. And I think that we share a lot of things together. We do this show together. I think there's just a closeness. And I think you need to get to an intimacy level. If you have an intimacy level where you can just cuddle and watch TV together, or things like that, where you really get each other, then I think that's the secret to a good physical relationship.
Well, you have to be nice to each other.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing, because if you're pissed at each other, you're not going to want to have sex.
No.
And if
usually
you
not.
do, it's not going to be good.
Well, it's not going to be... It can be, angry sex is a thing, right?
Sure.
That could be something.
I don't know. Mostly I don't want to be touched when I'm pissed, but whatever.
Well, yeah, so there's like how people talk about like makeup sex and stuff like that. That's not a thing with you. There is no like, okay, this is going to make me feel better, or like, let's make up, and that kind of shit doesn't happen. So I just don't get into fights with her.
It's not worth it for you, huh?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But is it worth it to you, Carol, to see the Phantom of the Opera at the Masonic Temple?
Yeah.
All right.
I love the Phantom of the Opera. I got to see the Phantom of the Opera at the Pantages Theater.
The Pantages Theater in
Toronto.
Yeah.
And-
That's the fancy one.
And I would love to see it again.
All right, let's go.
What?
It's $20 to $65 for tickets.
Yeah,
And
we should do it.
They'll be there through December 8th.
It's my favorite musical.
This is so any of you
For
living in,
opera.
this is the list, the entertainment list for any of you living in the Detroit area. Let's see what else is going on. We got Los Lobos.
What now? Los Lobos? What does that mean?
It's a band.
Lobos.
Lobos.
Like lobes.
The
He's a
lobes.
lobe.
Yeah, that's what it stands for, the lobes.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. You should know what lobos means.
I don't, though.
How about Outcast with a K? It's like the Wonders when they spelled themselves the Oneaters.
Right?
It's Outcast at St. Andrew's Hall. $20.
How can Outcast cost the same as the Phantom of the Opera?
Because no one's ever heard of them again. So they have a couple albums out. They have this song Atlians. It's like because they're from Atlanta, so it's like aliens, but it's Atlians.
That sounds dumb.
Well, Outkast they're a rap group, so I know that you're not into that.
Right.
But they're two dudes, Big Boy, spelled B-O-I. They like misspelling things.
Interesting.
And a guy named Andre 3000. So, if you're interested, go see them at St. Andrew's Hall. Limited seating because it's a small venue, but I mean they're not a big thing. What about Juanita's birthday?
What?
Juanita's birthday celebration with the Wilberts Pegler Trio.
What in the hell is happening? Somebody is having a birthday party and they put it in the paper?
Absolutely, they did, Carol. That is exactly what's happening.
That's insanity.
Yep. George Clinton is going to be at the P-Funk All-Stars is going to be at Hill Auditorium at North University in Ann Arbor. And then if you're into comedy, Dave Coulier of, what's that show called? That dumb fucking show that he was on.
Dave's World?
Full House.
Oh. Which one is he, Dave?
Cut It Out. That one.
He was the comedian on the show.
Joey, yeah. Yeah. The hacky comedian on the show and a hacky comedian in real life, so it was a stretch. He's going to be at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. That's in Royal Oak for all of you interested. But, yeah, go ahead and check him out and cut him out.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I like stand-up comedy. He's not good.
I don't know. I like some stand-up. I wouldn't mind seeing, like, Ray Romano or Jerry Seinfeld or the people that are so good that they end up, like, with fucking television shows, but, like...
Like the two people you just mentioned?
Right. Right. But I mean, just, like, regular stand-up comedy, nah.
Stand-up what?
Fuck
Stand-up
off,
comedian?
okay? Shut up. You are so mean.
You got me twice. I can't get you once?
You're not nice to me. You know what that means?
Oh, no. I think you're very smart, very pretty.
Okay, there you go.
But someone who's very dumb and very ugly.
Uh-oh.
Bob Talbert, who's been doing this. And now, for those of you that don't live around here, Bob Talbert's a columnist who has been writing this column in the Detroit News for like, I don't know, like 20 years almost, something like that, a long time. And it's always weird and nonsensical.
Okay.
Let me read through some of this and see if you can make
Some of
heads
this
or tails
weird,
of this.
nonsensical stuff. Okay.
Feedback and follow-up. A while back, I wondered here about a male equivalent to a female's playing with her long hair.
What?
And then he has a question mark. That's not a question. You're just stating something. First to respond with the most off-suggested equivalent, a man playing with his mustache or stroking his beard, was WKQI-FM personality Kevin O'Neill. A man's periodic pulling at his mustache was one of our pet peeve person of the day. He mentions on the afternoon show, says the Detroit radio vet. When I see a guy staring in space and pulling at his mustache, I want to go up and say, yes, it's still there when you pulled it from 10 minutes ago. It's a weird pet peeve to have about something somebody's doing.
Right.
The second most common suggestion was males adjusting their jocks. Changing their pockets came in third. Do you think that the guys adjusting their jocks is as bad as girls playing with their ponytails?
I think it's much worse.
Yeah, I know. My favorite response came from Southfield's Karen Russ, who says, with the men she's around, it's the same thing, playing with their long hair, especially ponytails.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, long hair has a resurgence in popularity.
Yeah. But I don't really see guys like twirling it around often.
Now, there is no new heading or anything like that, just ... after this.
Okay.
I mentioned a friend who died while listening to his favorite song.
What the fuck?
The Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil. Quite a few people responded with songs they'd like to check out by.
Interesting.
Grand Rapids Sandy Voss said, had to get my vote in for the song I'd die happy hearing absolutely Bruce Springsteen's Jungle Land, especially Clarence Clemens' saxophone solo. It's the closest thing to musical transcendence I know.
Wow.
Walled Lake's Kim Jensen of Jensen Aluminum Products
Commercial.
says, if I was going, and then it says to die. What do you mean if you were going to die? I'd want to hear Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix, the long version with this lyric, if I don't see you no more in this world, I'll see you in the next one, and don't be late.
Are you sure you're not just buying time?
Who, me?
No. I mean, like, listening to the
it's
long
the long
song.
version. It's like the Grim Reaper's like, okay, you get one more song before you die, and it's like, I want to listen to American Pie.
Right.
What's the longest song? I don't know. Let's see. Chesterfield Reader EP Miss whatever drew the wrath of some other readers by praising old musicals like South Pacific while calling Broadway musical legend Andrew Lloyd Webber talentless and his
Bite your
music
tongue.
unforgettable and unhummable. I don't really like Andrew Lloyd Webber that much, I'll be honest with you. The Phantom of the Opera is an exception. I like that show. Mm-hmm. But he did that Cats shit, and there's a lot I don't like about what he does. Not only do I hum his music, I play the scores of many of his productions on the piano, writes George Cherry of West Bloomfield's New Tex Incorporated. What is this?
What is happening?
Is it just a bunch of commercials? Like, people from products are writing in? But anyway, the reason I read that to you is I wanted to ask you the question.
Okay.
First of all, I just wanted you to experience some of Bob Talbert's fucking weirdness. Because he shifts from one thing to the next. But if you had a song that it was like, this is the last song you get to hear on Earth or whatever, what would it be?
Wow. That is a tough question. Mm-hmm. I mean, just off the top of my head,
Sure.
Amazing Grace.
Oh, that's kind of like kissing up, isn't it? Like, I was listening to that. I was listening to your song, God.
No.
Mine would be Raise You Up, the hymn.
No, because I think
Raise you up on the last day.
I think it's comforting.
Oh, okay.
And I think if I were dying, I'd want something comforting.
Well, that one dude wanted to listen to Sympathy for the Devil. Seems weird.
Weird. Yeah. How about you? What would you choose?
That's weird. It's an interesting question.
So you wanted to ask me, but you didn't have an answer for yourself?
No, it's not like I just read this. I wasn't thinking of it all week or anything. What would mine be? I like, there's a Nirvana song called Lithium.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Probably, I guess that would be it because it's comforting to me.
Okay. Lithium is comforting to lots of people.
Well, it's it's a relaxing song. It's it's the Xanax of music.
Okay. Wow. Is that what Xanax sounds like to you?
Yes. That's the auditory avatar of Xanax.
I need to try some of what you're taking there. Okay.
This week, though, we tried and succeeded in watching Friends.
Yes, I don't know how we could fail at that.
Still,
I mean,
well, we could have programmed the VCR incorrectly and not recorded it or something. I mean, we watched it live, but
we could have lost power.
Yeah,
I guess.
Still don't know what Friends stands for. F period, R period, I period, E period.
I don't think it stands for anything. I think
what are the dots?
I think they just wanted to add color. Because it's like black letters but colored dots. They should have just made the letters colored.
Yeah, they could have made them different colors. It could have been like TGI Fridays. I know what that stands for.
Right? Me too.
Thank goodness it's Fridays.
No. Thank God it's Friday. Come on.
Oh, really? You
Get it together.
Restaurant chain has taken a stance on deities.
I think so.
All right. Anyway, so we watched Friends. Here's a little peek into our lives, okay? We watch I know Carol wants to keep you all out. She doesn't want to give you the secrets of our successful relationship.
I just want to keep them out of our bedroom. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Well, no, don't come to our bedroom. That's obviously not.
I mean, unless you're really hot.
And a girl.
Right?
Women only, as they say in the alternative section.
We should put an ad out in the alternative section to see who answers.
To get you, do you want to invite another woman?
No, but I just think it'd be interesting to see if we get answers. We could play them on the show or something.
Yeah. Let's just fuck with people's emotions.
Why not
on the show? Sounds good. Anyway, here's a peek into our lives. We watch Friends every week. We don't talk about Friends every week because we try to talk about different shows all the time. But we watch Friends every week, and we've done Friends before, but we thought that this episode in particular was interesting, so we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
This is called the one with Francis Albert Sinatra Jr.
Stop. No.
What's his name?
Frank Jr.
Oh, same thing.
So Frank Jr. is Phoebe's brother.
Yes.
Because, she had just recently connected with him, trying to connect with her dad, but I think, wasn't her dad dead or something?
I think so.
So, she's trying to have a relationship with her, half-brother?
Yeah, and he's played by the incomparable...
I don't know. I don't know his name.
Do you not?
You can keep pointing at me, but it's not going to change the blankness in my brain right now. Sorry.
Do you not know?
I don't.
I don't either.
What the fuck?
I just assumed you're
such an ass.
Actor. He's played by an actor.
But, okay. So he's a weird freak, and I think he's a teenager, too.
I don't... Okay, so this... It's so hard to tell because it's Hollywood. He's clearly a 27-year-old man.
Well, yeah.
But maybe he is supposed to be 17, I don't know. She asks him at one point what he likes to do, and he says, I like to melt stuff.
I mean, I hope he's a child.
Maybe his brain is damaged from all the melting.
I don't know. And then that's what he's doing. She lets him melt stuff in her apartment, which seems really dumb.
I thought he was going to shoot up heroin.
It was a plastic spoon.
Yeah, but when you see when you see a lighter around a spoon, I mean, heroin's the first thing I'm thinking.
Oh, God, I hope nobody ever tries that. They get some plastic in their vein.
That's the most dangerous thing about heroin, is some plastic in your veins.
I think it would be bad.
I mean, you know, the heroin's fine.
Everything about it is...
Sharing needles with people and getting AIDS is fine.
Okay, so we took this to a dark place.
We always do.
Okay, so, no, seriously, though. Her little brother...
Is on heroin.
And she's miserable.
Well...
She seems pretty sad.
She's trying really hard to open up lines of communication, to find something in common with him. And she is seemingly failing.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, what do you like? And he's like, I like to melt stuff, and I don't like things that don't melt. And what else does she ask him? Oh, about her, like, she says, can you roll your tongue?
Right. This was her fault, though, because she can't, but she thought she could, and she thought that was a thing that they could share, but in reality they didn't, even though he could roll his tongue. It was really stupid.
Yeah, it was. It was. Because she says, can you roll your tongue? Because I can, and my mom couldn't, and I always thought that was something I got from my dad. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then she sticks her tongue out, and she's not rolling it. He's like, you're not doing it. He's like, oh, yeah. My mom could do it, and I can't.
Just a very Phoebe thing.
What a, if she had gotten that right, though, what a question that would have been. Can you not roll your tongue?
Right?
Sure.
I can roll my tongue.
I can, too.
Okay, but see, they can't see us, so I guess doing that is not helpful.
Theater of the mind, everyone. She stuck her tongue 5 inches out.
But she gets called into work, and she's a masseuse.
Yes.
And
that's been well established. She's a masseur. No, I guess is masseur a male masseuse?
I don't know.
Anyway, she's a masseuse.
But it's so obvious that he thinks that means that she's a hooker.
Well, he thinks it's a rub and tug place.
Yeah, he's like, you work at one of those massage parlors? Because, he's 12.
And she's oblivious.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, I do massages and stuff. That was the mistake.
Yeah, why did she say and stuff?
I don't know. What else do they do there?
I don't know. Maybe they do some stuff.
Who knows? But
so she says, why don't you come down with me? You can get a massage too. And he's like, what? She's like, oh, I wouldn't do you. I'd get one of my friends to. And then he gets all happy.
And he's like, do Monica and Rachel work there?
Yeah, because he thinks they're hot.
So then he ends up trying to, cop a feel on the masseuse. And then, Phoebe's mad because she's like, that's what you think that I did? And then he opens up to her about how, much he's sad because he doesn't want to be upset with him and he wanted to, have this good relationship and he thinks the weekend's been going really well. She's
like, what? And he's like, yeah, all our great talks.
Right. About melting stuff.
And the tongue thing. He thinks those were in-depth conversations.
But she's just happy because her brother cares about her or whatever. But the funniest part of this episode...
Okay.
...is... to me anyway, the list. They really have a thing with lists on this show.
Yeah.
But they come up with the idea to make a list of 5 celebrities that they could cheat with.
Yeah. I don't know. They say this as if it's a thing. I've never heard of it before, but they say it as if it's it's, she's on my list or whatever.
Right. So Ross is such a dork.
Oh my God. Such an incredible dork.
That he not only types it out, but laminates his list.
Yep.
And he puts a lot of thought into it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wants to put Isabella Rossellini on his list.
Mm-hmm.
But then Joey's like, oh, no, she's international.
He channels her countryman and goes, oh, no. Oh, no, Ross. Not Isabella. She's a greatest export. You cannot soil her, Ross.
Oh my goodness. he says that he should pick somebody local.
Yeah, someone who's in the country more.
And Rachel's like, yeah, because that's why you're not going to get with Isabella Rossellini.
Right.
Geography. So he bumps her for Winona Ryder.
Which is fine, I guess.
I guess. Except she shows up in the coffee house.
Isabella Rossellini, she's there.
And he tries to pick her up. And I think he might have been actually maybe going to get somewhere.
No.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe somewhere. Not sex necessarily, but...
Well, okay, so he says one thing that's charming. Mm-hmm. He says, can I buy you a coffee? And they bring her back her change. And he goes, or reimburse you for this one. And she laughs.
Right. And...
But you need more than one line to get a girl in the sack.
Well, and then he's very awkward and says almost immediately how she's on his list of celebrities he's allowed to have sex with.
Because she says, aren't you with that girl over there?
Yeah.
And he could have been like, no. Or he could have said, she's just a friend. Or he could have even just said, we have an understanding. Like he said, and just kept it at that. Like,
Yeah.
we have an understanding, I can see other people, or we both see other people, or whatever.
Yeah.
We're not exclusive.
But he says you're on my list of people I can have sex with.
Well, he's like, we're on my list. And she's like, what list? And he's like, so I get to have sex with you. She's like,
She
oh,
looks-
yeah?
She looks startled, like just visibly startled. Like, who wouldn't be?
Well, she's a great actress. She really sells it.
Yeah. And she's like, can I see the list? And he's like, oh, no.
Right. Yeah, he goes, oh, no. Isabella. So, oh, no.
She's like, I'm not on the list.
He becomes depressed. He's like Mario, but he's depressed. Oh, no. I'm just going to lay down here on
jeez.
this mushroom.
She points out that she is not on his list.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to say, oh, it's not finished. And she's like, but it's laminated.
Right. So he says that, he explains the whole thing and how it's still okay or whatever. And she's like, well, I just bumped you from or whatever. Like, I don't know. I have
My list of goofy coffee house guys.
Right. The thing I think that she says that's the funniest, though, is he's like, come on, Isabella, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity or whatever. And she goes, for you.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Who would be on your list?
Oh, so I have to go first, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say Elizabeth Hurley. They mention her.
Yeah.
And I would definitely put her on my list. I know a lot of people like the Pamela Anderson from Baywatch, but I'm more on the guy's side. I like that Yasmin Bleeth.
Yeah.
She's more my type, for sure. So I guess her.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who else I would put on the list. He has Dorothy Hamill on his list.
That's weird.
And Rachel has a very, sexual innuendo line when she says, she only spins like that on ice.
That was funny.
Okay, so I need 3 more.
You could be like Chandler and have Jessica Rabbit.
Right. There's an actress who is in a movie called Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
I love that movie.
Laura San Giacomo is
We
her
need
name.
to do that
She was also in Pretty Woman with, she was the hooker friend of Julia Roberts. So I think her. I put her on the list.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who else. Who's local in Detroit? Tim Allen's wife from Home Improvement. No, just let's see. What else? Everybody Loves Raymond's wife.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And then one more. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm interested. I'm waiting.
Lonnie Anderson.
I don't know who that is.
She was on WKRP in Cincinnati. Wait, no. You know what? Lonnie Anderson stays. Instead of Everybody Loves Raymond's wife, though, Valerie Bertinelli.
Okay. I can see that.
Ooh. And, oh, man, Kate Jackson, too. From, and Cheryl Ladd.
What about the girl from Mannequin?
Oh, Kim Cattrall?
Yeah.
Oh! Wait a
He's
second.
so excited.
Okay, yeah, Kim Cattrall for sure. Colleen Camp. How can I forget Colleen Camp?
I don't know who she is.
She's an actress.
Okay.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, so...
Who's on your list? So my final would be Kim Cattrall, Colleen Camp, Lonnie Anderson, Laura San Giacomo, and Elizabeth Hurley.
Nice. So, the dude who was in Townies and the movie we watched this week, what's his name?
Oh my god! Really? Ron Livingston.
Okay,
is his
so
name.
Ron Livingston.
He was in that terrible. Yeah, we'll talk about him when we get to the movie.
Okay.
Townies. What
Leonardo.
about the other guy in Townies? The actual Boston guy. What was the name? Billy Burr.
No. He's got, like, really pale skin and light
Red hair.
and
Yeah. He looks like he looks like if he went outside, he'd burst into flames.
yeah, no, not for me.
Okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio from What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
And the Basketball Diaries.
Yeah, that's right. He was in that movie too.
Maybe Matthew Perry.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Trying to think, like,
More than Matt LeBlanc, huh?
yeah. Oh no, now I'm not sure because I was thinking Brad Pitt, but then I'm also thinking Tom Cruise.
Well, you have 5.
But that's all 5, and I'm not done.
It's only 4.
No, I've got the first dude,
Ron Livingston.
Ron Livingston.
God, you'd have sex with him and you wouldn't even know his name. After they'd be like, well, this was great. Townies? What's your name again?
Okay, so Ron Livingston, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matthew Perry.
Oh, yeah, you said Matthew Perry. I forgot. And Thomas Mathopper. Tom Cruise.
But also, the
Val
guy the guy who played,
What about George Clooney
yeah.
from ER?
Yeah, he's also very cute.
Who else? Played who?
On Magnum P.I.
Oh, Tom Selleck?
Tom Selleck.
It's a bit of an older one, but okay.
Okay, for real. Tom Selleck.
Mm-hmm.
Livingston.
Ron Livingston.
Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry. Oh, Matthew Perry makes the final. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
George Clooney. That was a good one.
Okay.
And
Oh, wow. Real Sophie's choice here.
Tom Selleck.
You said Tom Selleck already.
I did?
Yeah, that was the first one you said.
No, I didn't. Livingston.
Yeah, you said Tom Selleck, Livingston. I don't know. Your list is all fucking over the place. Matthew Perry. You said Tom Selleck, Ron Livingston, Matthew Perry. A fourth one.
Tom Cruise. No. I don't know. Fuck it. Forget it.
Brad Pitt? Oh, George Clooney.
That was it.
That's what you said. Okay, so you said Tom Selleck, Ron Livingston, Matthew Perry, George Clooney. You get one more.
Tom Cruise.
More than Bradley Pitt's, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. What about that guy from?
Don't throw more options at me. I cannot make decisions.
I know you liked the guy that was in that movie a couple years ago. Shit, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was about the 70s, and he played the guy that always liked to have sex with the high school girls. He'd say like, "All right."
Oh yeah,
Matthew McConaughey. That's his name.
Okay, yeah, he goes on the list. I'll spend some time on this week, and I'll give you my final version.
If you guys want to write in your lists,
right,
let us know your lists of celebrities that you would get to cheat with.
Latefee1994 at AOL.com, and we could read them.
Yeah, we'll read them if you write them in.
And I'll finish mine and read mine.
I'll tell you what.
I'll laminate it.
I wouldn't. Even if I met them and they were into it, I wouldn't do it though.
Well, neither would I. It's just fun.
Yeah. But speaking of fun, we watched a movie with your new crush, apparently, Ron Livingston, called Swingers.
Yeah, it was a really fun movie. I liked this a lot.
I enjoyed it as well. It was written by and starring this dude Jon Favreau, who was in Rudy, with the other guy that's in this movie, Vincent Vaughn. So they were in Rudy together. They were members of the football team. They were like bit parts, both of them.
Is this a make you cry movie, Rudy?
Yeah, it's Sean Astin plays from the Goonies, plays a dude that is like super small, but he's always wanted to play for Notre Dame. He's always wanted to get on the field. It's based on a true story. And he tries his ass off. You know, it's his life's goal. He struggles to even get into the university, like academically. He like helps out with the football team. Then he finally gets on the practice squad. He gets the shit kicked out of him every day because he's like 5 feet tall and 100 pounds.
Wow.
He's not built to be a football player,
right?
But he's got a tremendous amount of heart. And his last game of the season comes, like the coach was like, well, we'll let you suit up and play, for a game, right? And they do the final thing, and it's like he's not on the list, so he's not going to play. So one by one, every member of the team comes in and puts their jersey on the coach's desk. He's like, Rudy can take my place, and they all come in and say it. It's like big, moment. So he gets to play.
Cool.
Yep, it's a movie. It's a movie about a guy that wants to play on Notre Dame's football team, and he gets to play one play of one game.
That sounds like the kind of movie that only a sports fanatic would really emotionally connect to.
Well, here's the thing. I don't agree, but it is a dude movie. It's like Brian's song. It's a guy movie.
Yeah. So this movie, though, Swingers, it feels like hanging out with friends.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because that's basically what the whole movie is.
Oh, yeah. It's so I saw a couple interviews with this Johnny Favreau, and it's like Brett Favre. He's got a weird last name, a weirdly spelled last name, but I think that's what it is. Whatever. John. I'll call him John
Okay.
F. I saw some interviews with him. Apparently, his dad bought him a script writing software, like software that helps you format screenplays,
Like fill in the blank.
kind of, yeah. And he's an actor, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I'll mess around with this and see if I can write a script just to see if I can do it and how it works." And this is the script he wrote.
That's so funny.
And when he was shopping it around, there were people. They were like, "Oh, let's put Leonardo Dicaprio and Brad Pitt and stuff in this movie and everything." And I guess he resisted a bunch of these changes for big Hollywood names and stuff like that. And they ended up producing this. And somebody that he knows named Doug Liman directed the movie. These are everyone in this movie is like a you've never heard of him person. So him, his one of his best friends or whatever, I guess, this Vincent Vaughn, is in the movie, plays a big role in the movie. There's a love interest that comes in at the end. New actress, not new, but she's never really been in anything. Director's never directed a movie before. Jon Favreau's never written a movie before. This shouldn't work at all, but somehow it does.
It's just magic. It all just comes together.
Like you said, it's atmosphere, but it's also story.
Yeah.
There's a through line of a story here.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a, very clear, character arc where,
Yep.
The main guy has broken up with his girlfriend 6 months ago and moved out to LA at that time. How he has all these friends out here that, seem like they knew him his whole life, but he just moved out here, I really don't get it.
Well, he's
They
been
don't
out there
really-
for 6 months.
They don't explain it. But I mean, it seems like they know each other more than that.
Well, the Ron Livingston guy, the one he can only talk to. By the way, like you said, Ron Livingston's in this, and playing someone with his own accent instead of a terrible Boston accent.
Right.
But they've known each other for like their whole lives.
Okay.
Because he came from it's established he came from
New York.
back east as well. Because he's like, well, you're making it out here, so I figure I can make it out here.
Yeah.
And they're all actors trying to break into Hollywood.
Or he's a comedian.
Yeah, he's a comedian he's a comedian and actor, he says.
Yeah.
Trying to break in to Hollywood. He says that they made it sound like, any successful comedian, they're handing out pilots at the airport or whatever.
Right.
Pilots for television shows, not handing out pilots for planes.
But he's just completely obsessed with this ex-girlfriend, and every day comes home and checks his machine to see if she called, and he's disappointed. And, it goes on like that through the whole movie until he meets the girl at the end, and then all he cares about is her, so his girlfriend finally calls, which brings back to the beginning when his buddy said, she'll call as soon as you forget about her.
Yeah. He's like... He goes, well, what if she calls before I forget about her? And he goes, well, that's the thing, is somehow they know not to call until you do. There's a lot of things in... Okay, so this movie's a little difficult to break down, honestly, without just kind of going plot point by plot point, which I don't really love to do, but cause there's so many interesting things in here. It's almost like a collection of little vignettes, but they're all stitched together perfectly, so they make a through line. But like the beginning of the movie, they're going to Vegas.
Yeah.
And it's like they're screaming the whole time, Vegas, baby, Vegas. And this is there's a lot of really interesting language. So the movie's called Swingers. There is a lot of allusions to Sinatra, Dean Martin, stuff like that, the Rat Pack. And the Rat Pack had their own way of speaking. They called it Frankenslang in the papers because of Sinatra,
Okay.
And it was saying stuff like cuckoo, baby, daddy-o, that kind of stuff. Like, ring-a-ding-ding and all that kind of stuff was their little, hip speak. Because if you can imagine it, Carol, 40 years ago, 4 middle-aged men were the epitome of cool in Hollywood.
Right.
But, I mean, it was true. So, they, that was their thing. They do a similar thing here. They kind of have their own slang. Like, what's his name? Trent is the character's name. Trent keeps saying to Mike, you're so money. You're so
money
you
through
don't
the
even
whole
know it.
movie.
Yeah, you're money. That's going to be one of the biggest things to come out of this is people going, you're so money.
God, that was annoying me. I don't think that's going to take off. It's weird. I don't like it.
Well,
We'll see, I guess.
I think it will. But that's a thing, and they're talking about the beautiful babies and everything.
Yeah, they keep calling each other. Baby too.
Well, they call each other baby like they're all Sammy Davis Jr. and they talk about women as the beautiful babies, which is vaguely creepy, but.
And they talk about women like they hate them. In the beginning, it was kind of disturbing.
Well, yeah, because he keeps calling them skanks. Mm-hmm. The skank shift, look at these skanks and everything. Oh, like some ignorant Las Vegas waitress is going to get my obscure French philosophical reference. Because he says, they're in a diner and he's like, it says here breakfast at any time. And she says, yeah. And he goes, I'll take the pancakes in the Age of Enlightenment. And then he's like, oh, I should have said Renaissance or whatever. And she's walking by and he's like, excuse me, miss. And he's like, yeah, hold on, Voltaire.
Yeah.
Which is very funny.
So, yeah, I think that's terrible and stupid to think for a second that the wait staff is, unintelligent, especially in a city like Vegas or LA, where people flock to try to make careers and end up doing service jobs.
Well, but what I think is, maybe the character is kind of like that, but I don't think the writer, who's playing the character is like that.
Right.
Because the way he's writing it is, he's writing them saying that stuff and doing that, but they always end up fucking embarrassed.
Wrong, yeah.
They always end up with egg on their face and stuff. So I think he's trying to highlight an attitude, maybe of some up-and-coming actors, because he's a struggling actor. His friends that are in this movie are struggling actors. And I think maybe he obviously knows a lot of struggling actors, and I think maybe that's like one type where they're all kind of like, some of them are like arrogant and shit like that. And I think maybe he's trying to highlight that. It's so weird. At the beginning, there's one comedy bit that comes out of nowhere. It was one of the funniest things in the movie. It's a completely fantastical element, and it never connects to anything again.
What?
But he comes into his apartment. By the way, every time he comes into his apartment, he strikes this pose in the doorway with the lights off for a minute before closing the door. It's weird. Stylistic choice, but whatever. A lot of this movie is substance. Mm-hmm. Or style, I mean. Style over substance.
Okay.
And he goes to his answering machine. Like, he's got a couple messages, and they're all like, hey, did she call yet? And everything. It's people back home. It's New Yorkers be like, hey, did she fucking call you? Get out of my way. And so then the answering machine starts going, you can do better than her. And he's like, yeah, thanks. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Like, it's just talking to him.
Yeah, he's losing
like,
it.
Yeah, that's great. And he's like, I got to make a phone call here. He's like, are you calling her? He's like, no. And then, but that never comes up again.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a funny bit, but does it mean something? Is it just his imagination? Is it supposed to be representative of how everyone's giving him this same robotic advice? Is it, like, what is it?
I kind of thought it was his imagination or giving voice to his inner monologue in a way.
Yeah. It's weird, though.
Yeah.
It's funny, so I'm glad they left it in the movie, because it's one of the funniest parts of the movie. But it's a weird thing that just comes out of nowhere, and everything else about the movie is completely grounded.
Yeah, that's
this
true.
This is the only fantastical element in the movie. And it's like, there's no explanation for it, but I kind of like it.
I thought it was funny, too, how, like, the one night when they're driving around in L.A., there's, like, 5 of these guys hanging out together, and each of them are driving their own car from one place to the next, all going to the same place.
Yeah, and they're the Rat Pack. I mean, they are the Rat Pack. It's like Trent's Sinatra, and I guess Mike's Dean Martin, I suppose. And then Sue, which is, one of their friends, is like Peter Lawford. And Joey Bishop is Ron Livingston. And then the black guy that I don't think they ever give a name to is Sammy Davis Jr.
Okay. Interesting.
But yes, there are 5 of them, just like the Rat Pack. And they all drive separate cars.
It's very weird.
The most LA thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and we're from Michigan. We're from the Detroit suburbs, Motor City.
That's right. Cars.
But we still don't do that.
No, but we drive a lot more than other places, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like,
more than New York.
New York, they don't drive at all, but
Chicago, I think there's more walking and there's more public transit.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, New York, there's public transit. D.C., there's public transit. Chicago, there's public transit. There's public transit in most major cities in America. But Detroit and L.A., not really.
No, there's none. I mean, yeah,
There's
you can call
here.
a cab, but that's about it.
People mover.
It's not like there's cabs everywhere. You have to call them.
Yeah.
So,
But there's the people mover.
Okay, so the people mover, but it's like a piece of shit.
Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, who wants to do that? It's like dirty like the subways of New York.
Right. But not functional.
It just gets you like 2 blocks away. Like, what is the point?
Yeah, for those of you not in the area, the people mover is like an elevated train, essentially. But it has 3 stops or 4 stops or something like that.
Yeah.
And like Carol said, you go in a loop of like a 3-block area.
there's no reason that you can't walk it.
Yeah, exactly. You might like Greek Town. That's essentially what it is. It's Greek Town to Joe Louis Arena, I think, is a stop.
So
it's not much.
No, it's not worth it. What else? What else about this movie?
Well, I'm gonna be my technical nerdy self.
Go for it.
And you mentioned it too when we were after we watched the movie. There's a couple moments at the beginning where they're using a handheld camera, especially when they're in the casino. I assume they filmed at a real casino.
Oh yeah, they did some weird disorienting things.
Kind of shaky cam, but I think that's budgetary.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think they had to use. I think they filmed at a lot of actual locations, and they probably didn't have permits to film. They probably did it like guerrilla style, kind of. And I don't know how they filmed in the casino. They must have had to have set that up with,
they
with
had
somebody, because there's no way you could film in a casino. I mean, you'd see the camera. The camera's gonna be huge,
right?
But I think a lot of like we're at the gas station and stuff like that, where it got pretty shaky. I think that's just somebody with a handheld camera, and I think that's kind of the best they could do. And then they just sort of leaned into it stylistically because they didn't have a dolly there. They didn't have, they couldn't afford that, right? So, but they, because there's not a lot of tracking shots. There's no real dolly shots. There's like the shot composition is good. Whoever this Doug Lyman dude is, he can frame a shot, There's like shot compositions are good. Lighting is cinematography and stuff. Lyman is the cinematographer on this too. Also good. Like everything is competently filmed and framed.
Yeah.
But there's a lack of. You can see the lack of money. They don't have the technology to do lots of different kinds of shots. And this guy is, like I said, seems like a competent director, especially for a first-time director, but he's not like a Sam Raimi from this area, by the way, where they like in the Evil Dead, the first movie that he did, they had the same kind of lack of budget, but for like Steadicam shots, they built their own, they put some boards, they attach the camera to a couple wooden boards and use that as like a Steadicam shot. They did a lot of really fantastical things with Steadicam and stop motion animation and things like that to liven the shots up and everything. And this dude's not that style. Okay. This dude's more of like traditional director style, but without the budgets. So, but everything's nice. Like in a technical aspect, everything's done nice.
Yeah.
And it's not really a traditional 3-act structure. It's kind of, but it's sort of like a meander towards the end. There's definitely a third act to the movie. And I mean, there's kind of a first act and kind of a second act, but it's the two sort of, the first and second act really kind of blend together a lot. Third act's pretty definitive. But structure of the movie, I think, is good, and I like you talked about with the character arcs. I think all the character arcs, because to me there's 3 distinct character arcs in this movie. Okay. Sue, Trent, and Mike all have character arcs. Okay. And I think all of them are handled really well, and I think that there's a satisfying payoff, especially for our main character.
Yeah. I love the way the movie ends. I feel like, he meets the one he's supposed to be with. That's how it seems to me. I don't know.
The quiche girl. She's played by... Yeah, because he says... Her name's Lorraine.
Oh, yeah, Lorraine.
And he says, like, the quiche. And he's like, I love quiche. And she references that book. I thought real men don't eat quiche. And he's like, well... My reputation precedes me. It's a very funny conversation. That's one of the big strengths of this movie, is the dialogue is very naturalistic, very believable. The dialogue of this movie engrosses you in the film, and it's all it all works really well together. She's played by another newcomer. She's been in a couple things. but nothing big. What is her name? Heather Graham.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're all newcomers in this.
It's very fun watching them dance.
They do the swing dancing, which, as you know, I know how to do.
Yes. You have mentioned that.
Yep, and you don't know how to.
No, I do not.
So we don't swing dance, but yes.
Also, I'm not like a petite little girl that can be swung around.
Go, Daddy-O! You're petite enough. I could swing you around.
Well, yeah, you're pretty strong. You probably could.
Go, Daddy-O! Who's a big voodoo daddy is the band that plays in here.
I've never heard of them.
No, they're one of those. You know, it's getting more popular now. The swingy kind of bands.
I thought it was cool too. The shot where they're in the apartment and there's the poster of the Reservoir Dogs, and then not long after they look like the poster when they're walking down the street.
Yeah, well, they talk about how everyone steals from everybody else in Hollywood, directors, writers, and stuff like that, and then they steal the shot right after Reservoir Dogs, which is hilarious. It's very funny. And later, this is a much more subtle one. Later, when they go to that club, they do a one-shot, which they do a continuous shot of them going through the back of the club and everything, through the kitchen, and then out the doors into the full club, which they also referenced earlier is a Goodfellas shot. In that conversation earlier, they were talking about how the shot Scorsese pretty famously choreographed everything so they could get that one shot where they're walking into the club. It's a beautiful shot in Goodfellas. Not quite to the same level here. It's fine. The camera's behind most of the time, and there's not a lot of dynamic camera movement, so it really just kind of looks like a guy walking behind them with a camera. But it's stylistically, it's a similar shot. It's an obvious homage. And it's a decent enough shot. Yeah. It's just not nearly as visually impressive as the Goodfellas one. But again,
they're working with what they got.
Yeah, again, we're talking about a movie that had an enormous budget with the most advanced equipment and everything, you know. So I'm sure they had a portable dolly or whatever, a train or whatever they call that. The machine where just kind of the camera moves like that. So that's much different. So, but it was a one shot. There were no edits. I don't think there were any secret edits.
Okay.
It was a one shot through the thing. So that's pretty good.
So I don't know. I don't have much more to say about this movie. Do you have anything you want to?
I go see it. It's a very good movie. I think this is one of the conversations where we really didn't spoil the movie that much. I don't think there's much to spoil in the movie, honestly. It's just one of those where you got to experience it. It's an experience movie. You go and it's like a hangout movie, like you said.
Yeah, it's fun and comfortable.
My favorite part at the end was when, and I guess maybe this is a minor spoiler, I don't know, but my favorite part was at the end where Mike's talking about how his girlfriend calls him, but he hung up with her so he could talk to Lorraine, because that's the one he cares about now, right? Mm-hmm. And Trent's surprised. He's like, oh, you didn't call her back and everything? And he's like, he goes, okay, Mike, I'll bite. And he's like, I was thinking about it on the way over. It's so hard. He's like, then it just hit me. And then he interrupts him. It's like he's about to give the answer every guy in the world wants of like love and relationships, like all that stuff. Like he figured it out. He figured everything out. And he's like, when? And then he just interrupts him to tell him he's getting vibed.
Oh yeah, I didn't even like.
She's throwing me the baby vibe.
Yeah, I didn't even really pick up on that. Like, you know how I'm kind of oblivious and easily distracted. All that happened was I got distracted.
But But yeah, so I thought that was hilarious. That was one of my favorite parts too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's a great movie. I would go and see it if I were you. Let's make it a huge hit for Johnny Favreau.
And don't forget to write us about... I was going to say write us about your list, and then I realized that was the last show that we recorded, not this show.
No, it was this show. This show's just been going on so long that you think...
Holy shit.
That you think it was a show recorded a week ago.
It's time for me to go to bed.
The 19th of October. It's still 1996.
Send us your list of your 5 celebrities.
Yeah.
At latefee1994 at AOL.com.
And tell your friends and do all that stuff. Do everything you can to make this the most successful show ever.
Which, pass around the tapes and stuff.
We appreciate you guys telling friends about the show. We appreciate you writing to us all the stuff that you do.
Yep.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.